One of the newest settings in group policy is group policy preferences. A preference is a collection of group policy client-side extensions, and they'll often be referred to as CSEs. They deliver settings to computers joined to the domain. They are different than our traditional group policy settings because the user can have a choice if they want to alter the configuration. An example of this: if I were to set your default printer as a group policy preference, the next time you log in, your default printer would be whatever the group policy preference defined, but it can be made optional, so you as a user could then go change your default printer, and this group policy preference would never change it back. So it gives me a baseline of configurations, but users can then alter that configuration on their own machine if we choose to. Now, it is my discretion as an administrator if that one specific setting is optional. So I can say this has to be your default printer and there's nothing you can do about it, or I can say this is your default printer, but we allow you to change it if you choose to. So it depends on exactly what the situation is. When you configure a group policy setting compared to a preference, group policy is considered to be an enforced setting. So at a policy level, there's nothing the user can do to change it. Only preferences give us that ability. Preferences also have this unique ability to be targeted to specific groups. You can target this to an operating system. So I could define a setting in preferences, and I could say this only applies if your computer runs Windows 10 64-bit edition. You could apply this to a range of IP addresses. An example: let's say I have a small office. This office has one printer, like a common printer that everyone in the office uses. When you connect to this network, your computer is automatically assigned a certain IP address, within a predefined range. I can say as a preference, whenever your computer has an IP address that's 192.168.1.100 to 192.168.1.150, whenever your computer has IP addresses in that range, this is your default printer. You could have another office and you could simply reverse that and say, if your IP is 172.16.0.1 through 172.16.0.100, this is going to be your default printer. And it just shifts based on the current IP address of the device. You could even filter based on MAC address, although that's not extremely common. And there are many other things. We have about 20 or so settings you could actually filter on. And they call this item level targeting. Really, it's just a big filter is what it actually is.